Happy Tuesday, family. I want to start by crediting Gary Valentine, who is an executive coach, and also author Ann Hewitt, Sylvia Ann Hewitt, who authored the book Executive Presence. I want to start by crediting them for tonight's podcast because I'm going to highlight what I've learned from them. I'm excited to teach. I got a lot to share. I'll see you when we get back from the intro. You are excellence. Your mind is of excellence. Your visions are of excellence. Your unique superpower is nothing short of excellence. You amplify a voice of excellence. Your contribution to this world will be of excellence. You will achieve your highest goals and desires with excellence. Excellence in everything, every time. It is Tuesday, so that means I get the privilege of spending my time with you on Excellence in Everything Live. If I have not yet met you, my name is Lanita Hostin, and I have the privilege of traveling the country as what I call an edutainer. I use my voice to empower, teach, and to build other women leaders to use their voice in any room that they're in. And for the past few months, you've been noticing that I've been transitioning my platform to teach public speaking skills. Well, I'm starting a new series to kick off fall, and it's called Women in Leadership. And today we'll be talking about how to develop an executive presence. If you are watching live for the very first time and we have not yet met, let me know that you're here. You can type in the comments, I am here. You can say, hey girl, hey. And if you happen to catch the replay, you can type in hashtag replay. If you know a woman leader who you think could benefit from today's topic, please share with her. You can hit the share button on any platform that you're watching from. We're live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So thank you for that. And if you have any questions as we go along, please feel free to jump in. I would love to talk. I love the dialogue. So really quickly, executive presence, because before I learned what it was, I had my own definition of what I thought it was. But it is a combination of three things. It's the way that you act, it's the way that you speak, and the way that you look. So it's your actions or behaviors, your communication style, and also your appearance. It's a combination of those three things. So I want to ask you, as you're watching, did you know what executive presence was prior to coming to tonight's podcast? You can type in, yes, I knew. Girl, I knew already. Or no, I did not know, so that's why I came. I would love to hear your suggestions or your feedback on that. But I know you know this, but the sole goal of a leader is to inspire other people to get on board with a vision and to implement what's necessary for that vision to come to life. So you could be a leader in ministry, in your workplace, in your business. You can also be a leader in your household. And a lot of that leadership abilities, credibility, is defined by a person's executive presence. This is what I've been learning, and I'm excited to share that. And so I saw that the Harvard Business Review said this. They said leadership is the accomplishment of a goal through the direction of human assistance. And your executive presence, well, that, my friend, it is a skill and not a trait. I love that when I read this. It's a skill and not a trait, which means it is something that you can actually cultivate. So it's not who a person is. Sometimes we think that some leadership abilities are innate to who a person's identity is, but I wanted to demystify that on the top front of today. It is a skill and not a trait. I see that you are here. Hey, Lanata. So good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. I'm glad that you are here. Chanel said, no, I did not know. Me either. And so when I found out about the topic, I said, I definitely want to talk about this because this is something that I want our ladies to know. All right. So I want to start with sharing with you. I want to show you who these folks are. Let's see. Did I bring that up here? Nope. I didn't get it. Okay. I want to jump in. I want to credit, like I mentioned to you, Gary Valentine and Sylvia Ann Hewitt. These are the two who I've been studying their take on executive leadership, and I am compiling what I learned from them today. So this is not all of my own. It's a sprinkle of my own, but I also like to give credit where credit is due. So shout out to Gary. Shout out to Sylvia. So really quickly,
Explain that when someone is cruel or acts like a bully, you don't stoop to their level. No, our motto is when they go low, we go high.
And I I want us to keep in mind that people, when someone is listening to you, or when you are speaking to someone, majority of our communication, in a healthy communication environment, the person solely wants to be heard. People want to be heard. They want to feel understood. They want to feel like you get them, even if you don't agree. And a part of executive presence is having really good listening skills so that we're not quick to be defensive, quick to prove our point, quick to speak over others as they are speaking. But someone who has an executive presence, their initial response to conflict, to high stress moments, to a lot of controversy is to hear first versus to speak first, to hear how people feel and to hear maybe the cadence of the room. This is actually kind of challenging to do when you are very strong-willed, very opinionated. You kind of draw your own conclusions very quickly. So part of this is having a control of your emotions so that they are not projected into environments where you're actually, you'd be more valued if you listened first. So I say part of having an executive presence is being or allowing listening to be priority versus talking or speaking. Now I'm going to show you this clip of a woman that I watched on a TEDx. This is really quickly. It doesn't have any sound, but I want you to take a list. I want you to watch her body language. Watch her body language. And I want you to take a look at what you see. Take a look at what you see. And that's everything. Remember, executive presence is about how you speak, how you behave, and how you appear. When I watch TEDx videos, I'm looking to honestly study a communication style or to find something to teach. What I love about women whom have an executive presence is that they use their hands, what I call very softly when they're speaking. Now, I want you to take a watch at this video one more time. Now, the purpose of hand gestures are to emphasize a point when you're speaking. They are not to over exaggerate unless the intent is to tell a story. But very similar to a songstress who is singing, who might exaggerate a vowel or not fully pronunciate a word because they want to emphasize the emotion. Your hands are intended to be used that way when you're speaking. So when you have a soft use of hands, you're only using the hands to emphasize a point versus using them to have them out and moving. So I hope that you're getting what I'm saying because it's a soft use of hands that I feel like has an executive presence. And I'm doing this on purpose, a lot of these hand motions, because this is not a soft use of hands. A soft use of hands is only using your hands when you're attempting to make a point very strong. It's the emphasis of a point. So I feel like when we look back at Michelle Obama's video, and I'm going to play it for you, and I want you to watch her hands. I'm going to try and mute it.
Explain.
So you see her hand, and the other hand, you see that it is down. So she is emphasizing this point, but they are not always moving. Her hands were not always moving. This is a very short clip. So I want, there's a sense of, for lack of better words, there's a sense of controlled body language that a person with executive presence has. they're not only controlling the use of their hands, but also the width of their legs as they're standing, and the posture of their body as they're standing. So there's some women that I find when they're speaking, depending on what kind of shoe they're wearing, sometimes that determines their posture. And I wish I had a video of this, but if they're wearing a heel and their feet gets a little tired, they're shifting in their foot or positioning their foot to like give their heel some relief or give the palm of the foot some relief. So they're like they're resting their foot on the heel as they're standing, right? A person with with an executive presence is very aware of what their body is doing, and they're in control of that. This also goes for leaning on a podium or speaking in a way in which you have a microphone, but you're not holding it up to your mouth. And I love teaching about this stuff because a microphone is meant to amplify your voice. So if you're using it and people can't hear you, then you're using it incorrectly. So it should be, if you notice, some singers will rest the microphone on their chin where their lips are almost nearly touching the device. Some microphones don't require you to have that level of proximity, but someone who has an executive presence is going to grab the microphone and listen to see if their volume is filling the room. Also, if there's an option to use a microphone, just depending on the volume of your voice, it's always, and this is extra, but you should always use it. When people say things like, my voice is loud enough, it's not about if you think your voice is loud enough. It's, can everyone in the room hear you? And you should not have to yell if you're using the microphone. So what I love about the microphone is that you can be heard even if you speak softly. And if you have to emphasize your point and lower your voice, everyone in the room can't hear you if you're not using a microphone. But if you are using a microphone, everyone in that room, if there were 500 people seated, they all can hear you. That's why we use a microphone, not because our voice is naturally loud or because we feel like we can project, because then you are actually straining your voice. And so being cognizant of that, if you have a microphone, always use it. That's a telltale sign. So really quick commercial break. I am gearing up to teach a web class for women to help them build their voice. And the class is free. It's coming up in September 22nd. More information will be released next week, but you can join the wait list at lanitahostin.com/SPI fall. We'll be talking about how women leaders can build their voice. And if that is of interest of you, I invite you to go ahead and register for the free webinar at lanitahostin.com/SPI. So we talked about using your own language. We talked about being a good listener, hearing first, using your hands softly. We also talked about controlled body language. Now, I want you to watch this clip of these three women on this interview. Now, look at the difference of their bodies. Now, I'm going to pause this video. Now, when you are doing an interview or in a seated position, or when you're in view of persons, whether you're seated or standing, everything that your body is doing matters. So really quickly, let's just analyze this. So the first woman on the left. Now, if you notice, her legs aren't closed. They aren't crossed and they aren't closed. They're open. Some may say this is a poor, not poor posture, but poor positioning, just depending on the audience. If she had on a skirt or a dress, and that would definitely be poor. But just because you have on pants doesn't mean that your legs should be open as a woman. That's just FYI. And look at her hand placements. I would say place your hands where you feel most confident. Her hands are almost clasped, same with the woman in the middle. And you see that her legs are crossed at the ankles. That's fine. And then you see the last lady on the end, her legs are crossed over, like they're crossed over each other. And now think about this. Communication is about perception. So how do you perceive the women whom are seated this way? Now, I don't have any preference, but I wanted to show you what other people see when they're watching your positioning and your body language. And so you can rest your arm. If you're seated in a chair, you can rest your arm on the chair like this, like the woman to your far right. You can rest it on your lap. You can also sit at the edge of your chair and rest your arm on your lap as well. But again, controlled body language is definitely something that gives a person a controlled, a executive presence for sure. And I want to talk really quickly about this one is my favorite. Vocal penmanship matters. Now, I made up this word, but I've been trying to explain the purpose of tonality for so long, and I ran across an article today that brought it home and made it very clear why your tone matters. So in Sylvia's book, she interviewed several executives, and the executive stated that inarticulateness, poor grammar, overuse of filler words, and off-putting vocal pitches undermine an executive presence. I'm going to say that again. Inarticulateness, meaning lack of articulation or lack of pronunciation. Poor grammar, overuse of filler words like and an off-putting vocal pitch undermine executive presence. So when Sylvia interviewed the executives, they said that people with shrill voices, in particular women who raise the tremble of their voice when they are emotional or are put on the defense, was that in the research was a turnoff to coworkers and clients. Now, the point I'm going to make in this reference is that when our tone is elevated, meaning the pitch is elevated, it decreases the length of time in which someone could be attentive. And I wanted to prove this. I recorded a video. I'll have to go into this more deeply, but there is a tone that is mostly preferred by the human ear, and it's based on, is it megahertz? I know it was a 125 MPZ, I think, but basically a noise. Think about when children are born and they're crying, their pitch is high. I read that pitch is between the vocal range of about 300, it could range up to 300 to 20,000. I think it's mega per hertz, and I'm probably saying this wrong. But the tone that is preferred starts at 125. So if a baby's cry is between 300 to 20,000, but the preferred is to 125, you can imagine that a person with a high-pitched tone, some people may find difficult to listen to. So if you have a naturally high-pitched voice, learning to master the use of your diaphragm so that people can listen to you for a substantial amount of time. Now, and I want you to think about that. Have you ever been in a room, in a conference, in a training with someone, and their voice had a very high pitch and it was difficult for you to listen to or to stay connected? I was happy to run across that research because I've been saying that, but I was not saying it in a way that was more scientific than it was a personal preference. But it is actually true. It is actually true. So the tonality that you use, it matters. And I don't want to say that if you have a high pitched voice, you're less likely to display a executive presence. What I am saying is that because executive presence is about perception, if you know you have a high pitched voice, when it matters, learning to speak from a lower tone. So I have a naturally high pitched voice. And to prove it, I downloaded this app. I'm going to be teaching my coaching clients this. I downloaded this app to learn where did I fall in that 125 to 180 preferred pitch. And my pitch was at 170 something when I'm speaking like this. So I recorded another sound to see what did I sound like if I'm talking to like a friend or a more casual setting. And it was definitely in the 300s because, as I mentioned to you, my voice naturally is it's a high pitched voice. So I've learned to take what is naturally high and bring it at the volume or the pitch that you hear today. And people commonly say it's easy to listen to you, but I don't think it's just me. I think it's the pitch. that resonates with their hearing. And so the research is saying the pitch of your voice, it matters. That's all I'm saying, is that it matters. Hey, Casey. Casey said, I love to fluctuate my volume when I'm talking to someone that may be presenting aggressively. Ooh, that's good. That's good. And we can respond in a high, like our former first lady said, when they go low, we go high. So when other people have a high pitched voice, we go low. We go low. The last one in terms of how to develop an executive presence, it is really about your appearance. Now, and I wanted to point out some areas, because sometimes we lack the clarity on what appearance, what people are really referring to when we talk about appearance. Let's start with clothing. Clothing just being well fitted. Now look at this shirt. I wore this shirt on purpose. So this shirt is designed to do this. It's supposed to be like this, right? And it's supposed to do this. It's supposed to do that. It's not supposed to be made like this. Now, if I were in a place where an executive presence was appropriate, I probably wouldn't wear this shirt. I also wouldn't wear anything that would expose more skin than that's appropriate for that environment. So I probably wouldn't wear a very low cut shirt. I also probably wouldn't wear ill-fitting pants. This is a stickler of mine. There's a length of pants. The length of your pants should hit the bottom of almost near the bottom of your shoe. So if you are stepping on your pants, if you have to roll them up, not jeans, but we're talking about a type of material that hangs from your body, then that's considered ill-fitting. If you have an uncommon height, whether that's tall or short, then when it comes to appearance, properly getting your clothes fitted would increase your ability to appear very well groomed. So we talked about fit, cleanliness of the clothing. There's certain, and teaching this to our kids, I think, is most important. There are certain kinds of fabrics. I used to work at a fabric store in college, but there are certain kind of fabrics that peel, meaning they have these balls on them over time, just based on use of it. And it's typically a blend of cotton or less of cotton in the blend. So we see those balls on bed sheets. We see them on sweaters. You can see them on sometimes socks at the bottom. And when I see my clothes doing that, I throw it away. Because, well, there are reasons why I do it, but I throw them away because I decided that I wanted to only have clothes that made me feel and look my best. So when I start to outwear my clothes or they're overworn, I tend to recycle them and bring in something new. And that could just be a basic shirt or a t-shirt, but that's just my personal preference. But anyway, when you see the fabric of your clothes start to change, or it's linty and you can't get that lint, because sometimes it's not lint, it's a ball. You can't get it off with what do you call those things? A lint brush, thank you. Then it may be time to let that one go. Arm length. If you have long arms and your shirt is short, or you have short arms and your shirt extends past like here and it's out, like, I'm giving you an example. Like your shirt is like this, then that would be ill-fitting. And then some of you all already know this, but our children, they don't know. So teaching them this, it matters. Let's talk about the shoes, the condition of your shoes, being intentional about cleaning them, wiping them. If they're leather, polishing them so that they have the best appearance. We didn't talk about this, but your personal care, and that's hygiene, whether that is a perfume or fragrance that's strong. Typically, I don't know if you've noticed this, but those who work in hospitality or in some type of field where they're very in close proximity with a client, you'll notice that they don't have very strong fragrances if they wear them at all, and that's intentional. Some people have a sensitivity to smell, so being sensitive, if you are going to be in a room, in a space, being sensitive to those body fragrances or fragrances in general. And the last one in terms of appearance is your posture. Now, an executive presence is a person who typically comes in, their shoulders are straight, their back is straight, and they appear to be very confident. And last week I was at a university, I won't say which one, and I was the keynote, and the president of the university came, and she gave some remarks before I spoke. And I should have taken out, no, I shouldn't have. I take that back. No, I didn't. I didn't. I'm not going to. But what I noticed about the person, she appeared to be not very confident. And that was based off of her body language. She also did not use the microphone properly. So everyone in the room, was maybe 500 people in the room, they could not hear. And she spoke very low, as if she was not confident in what she was saying. And it made me think about how volume plays a part in executive presence too. A confident person is not going to speak softly. They want to speak in a way where people hear them and they are heard. And so properly using the microphone and adjusting your volume so that everyone in the room can hear you is important. But also the posture too. And so you can slouch while you're speaking or have this like bent over thing like this. Like there's that. You could also be like leaning your weight on one side of your body so it's uneven. Or you could just have a strong and straight posture like I am today. Now, I think that the circumstance in which we apply executive presence is probably what matters most. It's being sensitive to the environment and what's necessary for that environment. So if you're in a formal environment or an environment where you're being observed or considered for an opportunity, executive presence is invaluable. When you have no other influence over how the decision will be made, but you want to be considered, executive presence matters. Think about it as an evaluation tool that decision makers are using to make decisions about you when you're not in the room based on them knowing you, and then also them making decisions about you when you are in the room when they have never met you before. And so if you're watching today and you're like, I'm not an executive, I'm not in leadership, I don't own a business, I don't lead a ministry, is this necessary for me? Well, if you're ever in an environment where someone is watching you to making a decision based on you that affects you, your family, your lifestyle, your money, your mind, your peace, then it does matter. It so absolutely does matter. So I'm glad that you stopped by today. I'm going to take a peek to see if you have any questions. Let me know what questions you have. What resonated with you today? Yes, Lynetta, a lint shaver. I was saying lint brush, but yes, a lint shaver too. Yes, know that when those fabrics start to peel, it is time to go. These are etiquette traits that everyone should be taught. It will create a better environment. Oh my goodness, yes. I love to see young men with well-fitted clothing. I love to see it. Not just dress clothes, but casual clothes too. Teaching the difference between the two. And obviously and also dressing for a person's body type. Teaching our children that as well. I'm all for body positivity, but I'm also all for when the environment changes and your character and competency is being evaluated, knowing how to respond or show up in those environments too. And that has a lot to do with what we talked about today. Hey, Brandy. Brandy said she used to be near mute. Well, I hope you're talking more and speaking up more, Brandy. And I hope today's content resonated with you as well. Awesome. Lynetta said all of these were awesome. Great. Well, thank you. Glad that you guys stopped by, and thank you for listening. I'll say this. I think that now that I have an understanding about what executive presence is, because I assumed, honestly, my honest assumption was that it is the portrayal of masculine energy to get people to do what you want them to do, whether that's by way of influence or way of like empowerment, or what we call positive manipulation. That's what I thought it was. So shout out to both Sylvia and Jared for the research that I did today, and I credit them for what we discussed today. A lot of the topics that we shared on were things that I learned from their books and or their blogs. And I'm going to continue to study this too, because I'm actually very interested in these things. Very, very interested. Okay, so that wraps us up for today. I want to make sure I didn't catch any. Oh, I see those. Okay, Lynetta said, I love to see ladies dress impeccably well. Yes, me too. And there's something about when a woman comes in the room well dressed, it's very, it's admirable when she appears to be very polished. And I think a polished woman looks like also the clothing is well fitting. It's appropriate for the environment, and it's accompanied by like subtle accessories, very subtle, manicured hands and feet. Those are ways to appear polished. Very well groomed hair. So if it's straight, then it's straight. And if the edges are slicked back, they slick back. But those are ways that I feel like women come in well groomed. Also very light makeup, like almost minimal. It appears to be minimal, but it has a natural appearance. I love to see it. I really love to see it. Dressing in neutral colors, also dressing in the same color, is a great way to appear well groomed. From the shirt, the pants, the skirt, the shoes, the purse, everything being, I think, monochromatic is what people call it. Great way to appear polished and well groomed. And also dressing to your body type and learning what your body type is and what complements you. The other thing that I have noticed is picking colors that are complementary to your skin tone and wearing those colors, like not buying black because it's easy, not buying only black because it's easy to dress or it's easy to hide our imperfections about ourselves that we don't like, but finding the color that complements your skin tone and wearing that. I love it. Those are some ways I've definitely been observing. And one of my hacks was finding jeans that actually fit my body type versus the ones that, well, these are the ones that are in style, so let me pick those. But not only are they in style, is the cut of the jean complementary to my body type. So those are things that I learned and I've been practicing. And I want to say this, if you're looking to evolve your appearance based on your closet and your wardrobe, I don't think it has to be done expensively. I think if you get some really good staple pieces, some solid color, good quality turtlenecks, you can get them from TJ Maxx or Ross or Marshalls, or even Burlington sometimes, just depending on which one you go to. A really good solid leather jacket, a really good solid leather boot, and having those basic apparel staples, a really good jean jacket, a good red lipstick, and just finding ways to pair those things. A really good pair of black jeans. You cannot go wrong with those like staples, I would say. Absolutely. Brandy said, I'm about to start a new position as an accounting manager, and this is my first big girl job. I used to be a teacher, but it's different. Yeah, that's different. Yeah, because you'll be front facing with a variety of stakeholders, not just school age groups, not just parents and teachers, but we're talking about people from every industry could be represented. You're almost in a position where you never know who you could meet. And so some ways that you could definitely adapt an executive presence is to develop the confidence in practicing your speech and appearing like when you're communicating, talking with a smile. And if you are using your hands to interact with a customer, being sure that your hands are always groomed and your nails are always cleaned and lotioned. Very easy way. Very, very easy way. Thank you for sharing. Brandy, how do I book you? Well, depends on what the service request that you have. But you can go over to lanitahosting.com/connect. You can also send me a DM and I'll send you a calendar link so we can schedule some time and hear exactly what your needs are. But those are two ways. You can shoot me a DM. You can also drop your email address. You can also go to lanitahosting.com/connect. Chanel, I appreciate you. You're always here every week. I want to acknowledge that. And thank you for always commenting. You're never a ghost. And so, yes, thank you. And yes, thank you, Jessica. Congratulations, Brandy. Brandy is definitely, sis got a promotion, an elevation. We're just going to assume it's a promotion. And she's in a new environment. And I also want to acknowledge your courage for leaping, because that is a difference, a big change. But know that you're capable and you're deserving. And the skill set that you have is good enough. So go ahead and win in your new role. I love it. I love it. All right, ladies, I'm going to get out of here. I will see you all next Tuesday, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time p.m. I love you. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. See you again. You are excellence. Your mind is of excellence. Your visions are of excellence. Your unique superpower is nothing short of excellence.